Hello, YouTube. Alright, got the audio going as well now. It's going to be a much better live stream, I think. If you're there, let me know you're there in the chat. And thank you for joining us today. We're going to go through my Sharuum the Hegemon cEDH deck and get it registered on Moxfield here, or get a decklist created for it on Moxfield so I can get registered for the Crimson Lions Showdown at the Anime North Texas Convention in Mesquite tomorrow. I'm really looking forward to this event. There's $12,000 in prizes on the line, including a $3,000-ish Timetwister. I guess like $5,000 Timetwister. Depends where you're going for it. But either way, a Timetwister is the grand prize, and I'd certainly like to pick one up. I'm really excited about this event. I don't usually play much cEDH, but I've been practicing a lot over the past month to get ready for this one, and the prizes were just too good for me to pass up this time. So that's why I decided to participate. But we'll give it a couple minutes, see if we get some people filtering in here, and then we'll get started. We'll get started on today's event. So while we're waiting, let's see if I can find the other image we should take a look at. Here it is. Alright, let's talk Planet of Hats while we're waiting. Planet of Hats is a format I created. It's a Commander variant. We've been playing it at Crimson for about 3 months now, and it's been a lot of fun. We've got a decent community playing, and I'm ready to share it with the world now. So in about 3 weeks, we're going to have our first tournament at Crimson on Saturday, October 21st. $10 entry fee. We are going to pay out around a box and prize support at a baseline. If we get more players, we'll scale that up. But this is just meant to be a really nice, fun, proxy-friendly tournament just to try out this new format. And I do have a rules document created for this. We've also got a Facebook group, a Messenger group, a Discord, and pretty soon a website to hold these rules. The format itself has been a lot of fun. So just the basic idea is that it's a Commander variant where you have an enchantment in your command zone instead of a legendary creature, and it's just got to be like a regular enchantment, not an aura, not a creature, not a flip card, nothing fancy, just a regular old enchantment. But it's a very different feeling played out than Commander. There's also a bunch of rules that fundamentally change how players interact with the game. So alternate win conditions basically don't work. Non-combat damage is mostly non-functional in the game, and really the main routes to victory are combat damage, mill, and poison counters. So it ends up being a very different feel and a very different set of play patterns than most multiplayer formats that are currently popular, and it actually has a feel that reminds me a lot of old Legacy. Legacy around 10 to 15 years ago had a very similar back-and-forth combat-centric feel with a lot of interaction and a lot of very technical, sometimes stack-centric gameplay, but very, very powerful cards. And a lot of cards that haven't seen play in a long time have some room in the format. So cards that were banned early on for just being unbalanced with the rule set include Sealer Removal and Gaia's Touch. A card that nobody has really leveraged yet, but I think has a lot of potential in the format, is Pernicious Deed. And there's a lot of stuff like that that's just a little bit off the beaten path, but I think really has some fruit to bear in this format, and it's a really unique way of interacting with these cards. So I definitely encourage anybody who's listening to this now to get involved with Planet of Hats. Go ahead and search for it on Facebook, find the Planet of Hats Homebrew MTG format group. You can reach out to me or anyone at Crimson Lion Games to get added to the Discord and the group chat, etc., so you can get in touch with how the format is played and the people who are testing it out. We can get you the rules document, which is linked in all of those places, and you can start brewing today. And we hope you can come out and join us October 21st for this proxy-friendly tournament at Crimson Lion Games. And with that, let's go ahead and get started on the Sharuum deck. So let me hop over to Moxfield here. So I have kind of a unusual setup for me here. Usually I'm just working on the same laptop and using that webcam, but I wanted to be able to use the table and still type, so I've got a different monitor and keyboard set up here. But the compromise is I can't see OBS while I'm typing in here, so I'm going to have to kind of go back and forth a little bit. Bear with me if I have a little adjustment to working like this, but I think we're going to be able to get into this deck just fine. The very first thing I want to do is swap out the last card I added to the deck is Cursed Totem, and it's just appropriate that I get this much better, nice old frame Cursed Totem in here. Much more the style, as you'll see, of the rest of the deck, and my own personal style. So we're going to get that switch made, and with that, we are ready to get into this list. So, what are we talking about? Sharuum the Hegemon. get our tokens over to the side here. So Sharuum the Hegemon is a really old school commander. Has been a powerhouse in the format in one form or another, going way back to the origins of the format. When I started playing Commander in 2009, Sharuum was one of the very first decks I was introduced to. And at that time, Sharuum essentially only had one real route to a combo victory. And since then, as you'll see when we go through the deck, many routes that organically use the commander have been added with cards with redundant functionality that have been printed into the game in the last 15 years, or 14 years. So Sharuum's ability is, when she enters the battlefield, you return target artifact card from your graveyard to the battlefield. She's a 5/5 flyer for 6 mana, 3 and Esper, and that's it. But what this enables is for you to use artifact-based clones, or really any clone, in fact, that can copy Sharuum and take advantage of Magic's Legend rule to use that interaction to put Sharuum or the artifact clone, if you have one, into the graveyard at the time that this enters the battlefield, but before the enters the battlefield effect actually goes on the stack. And what this lets you do, so let's say I have Sharuum in play, and I cast a copy artifact. It's an enchantment that can copy Sharuum, because Sharuum is an artifact, but it itself is not an artifact. So, well, it is when it's in play, but the card copy artifact is an enchantment in all other zones. So Sharuum's ability can't return it to play. But if Sharuum is in play already, I can cast copy artifact and copy Sharuum as it enters the battlefield. The Legend rule will then allow me to put the original Sharuum in the graveyard immediately as a state-based action before anything goes on the stack. Next, I can take the enters the battlefield effect from the copy artifact copy that I cast, and place it on the stack targeting the original Sharuum that is now in the graveyard because of the Legend rule, and return it to play. At which point it just Legend rules out again with the copy that remained in play the first time, and you can repeat this loop. So what the deck seeks to do is create that clone-based loop with Sharuum, and then kill the opponent with, or kill all the opponents simultaneously at the table with either Altar of the Brood, which mills each opponent 1 for each permanent that enters the battlefield under your control, so you get infinite mill triggers with the Sharuum loop, or with a Disciple of the Vault or a Blood Artist type effect that hurts your opponents when a creature of yours dies or when an artifact leaves play. So I said 13, 14 years ago, Sharuum only had a single route to victory, and that was true for a couple of reasons. First, because there weren't cards printed that offered real redundancy here, but more importantly, because the rules of the game functioned differently. So, little history lesson, 14 years ago, the Legend rule worked completely differently than it does today. There was actually a change made in Ravnica Standard, where if you played 2 copies of a Legend, then both of them would go to the graveyard. And this was true whether you and your opponent each played one, or whether you played both of them. If there were 2 copies on the battlefield, both went to the graveyard. And yeah, you heard right, you used to be able to affect your opponent's board with the Legends that you would play. The game would check across all states on the board, because there could be only one of any given legendary creature, and if you played a second one, they both went to the graveyard. So what that meant was that you needed an artifact clone with Sharuum, because you had to bring both the original Sharuum and the artifact clone back to play on each iteration of the loop. Well, there was only one card that existed at the time that let you do that, which was Sculpting Steel. This is also well before the printing of Blood Artist, so there was actually only one card available in the game that let you convert this loop to death for your opponents, as far as I'm aware, which was Disciple of the Vault. And this is way before Altar of the Brood was printed. So the deck was a powerhouse in 2009, in the early days of the format, because it had one of the most consistent plans that only took 3 cards, and one of them lived in the command zone. And that plan was just these 3 cards, in an era when there were very few options to exile parts of your opponent's plan, and games were slow in plotting, and recursion was a huge part of everyone's game plan. Nowadays, as you're going to see, the deck doesn't really rely on putting together this one very fragile set of pieces, but all those pieces are still in here because the fundamental goal of the deck hasn't changed. That combo that I just showed is what the deck is trying to do. So, let's go ahead and start entering cards. We're going to talk about why they're in here. And you know, I probably should have sorted this before we began this stream so I could go through everything and the reason that it's in here, but we're just gonna kind of go and sort as we go. So I am gonna go ahead and pull the lands out real quick so we aren't stumbling on lands the whole time. And then we'll sort these. The one thing you're going to see is there's no duplicates in the deck, so we're not actually saving any typing time by doing this, but just kind of conceptually all the lands are pretty much doing the same thing. We have some utility lands in here, but I think we can mostly group the lands at the end. And you can see we're not skimping on the mana base here. We've got 9 fetches, we've got the 3 relevant shock lands, the 3 relevant alpha dual lands. We have Urza's Saga, we have Odawara and Takenuma, we have snow-covered basics as well as regular basics, we have a Cephalic Coliseum, let's see, we have an Ancient Tomb, and that's about it for fancy lands. Let's see if there's anything else major that we missed in there. We've got our 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 fetches, the 9 that we can use in our colors, 3 alpha duels, 3 Ravnica shocks, Esper Snowlands, Esper Not Snow Basics, Mishra's Workshop, Mikakoro, Takenuma and Odawara, Spire of Industry, Urza Saga, and Cephalic Coliseum, and Ancient Tomb. So a pretty straightforward mana base, but a pretty powerful one. And a couple of extra utility spells in there. We are a little bit vulnerable to even Mind Sensor type effects, things that limit on search. We have a lot of fetch lands. Thankfully, Urborg seems to be plentiful in the meta, and some amount of Yavimaya as well, which help to offset that. But mostly we do need to be able to crack a couple of fetches probably in the early game to get to where we're going, and we also want fetches to be able to shuffle for our top. But we probably are not going to crack more than 2 fetch lands in a game. So as long as we can dodge Opposition Agent and even Mind Sensor enough to play our spells, we'll be fine. We also have a ton of artifact mana, so we can play on a very low land count if necessary. Alright, so let's go ahead and sort after all. I think it's easier to talk about the pieces of the deck if we go through kind of the categories they fall in. So we have a good bit of interaction here. We're going to go through this interaction and just kind of get that out of the way, because we know our opponents are trying to do stuff, and if we're not interacting with them, they're just going to walk all over us. So we've got a lot of counterspell type effects. We've got some removal, some temporary, some permanent. And I'm sorting on the fly, so I may find things that I put in the wrong category or stuff that I missed as I go along, but no need to worry. So we've got, I'm going to start entering these here. Let's go over to Moxfield. Alright, so we're starting a Sharuum the Hegemon deck in a commander folder here, cEDH. Let's go ahead and start entering cards. So we're going to start with some, let's see, yeah, we'll start with the boring stuff here. A lot of people are playing these cards, nothing you haven't seen before. Muddle the Mixture. Muddle the Mixture, pretty frequently played for its transmutability. It's a pretty crappy actual counterspell. Okay. But it does come in handy sometimes, and it's way better to have a counterspell stuck on one of your tutors than not. It's probably one of the more controversial picks in the deck, though, but I think it's pretty good. Pact to Negation I don't think requires any explanation. We're mainly a combo deck. We really need to be able to defend our own combo. Pact to Negation is probably our single strongest option for that, a free counter spell that we rarely have to actually pay the price for. An Offer You Can't Refuse, really strong 1-mana counter. You do have to be a little careful giving your opponent the treasures, but generally speaking, the tempo gain is worth it. Also nice to be able to leave up strong interaction for only 1 blue mana. Dispel falls in the same category. Mental Misstep, I don't think requires any explanation either. Free interaction that hits absolutely ridiculous key spells in a lot of decks. And also you can just get an opponent who kept a weak hand with a Soul Ring to stumble sometimes in the early game, though I don't think that's really the strongest use for the card. It's often better to defend my combo, at least against things like Swan Song, Dispel, and an Offer You Can't Refuse. I did use Swan Song to counter a turn 2 Necropotence from a Crick player yesterday. That was fun. Now Counterspell, this is probably the most controversial of the counters in the deck, and it would definitely be the first one I was going to cut if I was going to cut a counter today. Mana Drain is probably the third strongest, maybe the second strongest counter spell. I'm sorry, the second weakest, I should say. But I do end up needing that boost sometimes. The plan that we have is simple and has a lot of redundancy built into it, but it is a little expensive. Alright, so we got through our counter spells here, and now we're going to get into the interaction in the deck. So being able to channel touch the Spirit Realm to remove key stacks pieces that stop us from going off, things that stop us from casting multiple spells on one turn, things that keep us from accessing our graveyard, stuff like that. Soul Partition in the same category. These are excellent, very flexible cards that can hit a variety of permanent types. Void Rend, also in the same category. Void Rend has the fairly unique characteristic of being blue and removing a lot of things, which is nice because it allows us to get, well, actually gives us access to all three colors if we exile it to a Chrome Mox, but it's also a blue card we can pitch to Force of Will, which ends up being pretty important because our blue card count is pretty low overall. So Force of Will is not the most reliable card in our deck, but you know, squeezing in a couple of extra blue cards on the side kind of helps, and that's really one of the main things, honestly, I think that keeps Void Rend in. Let's see, Swords to Plowshares here. Alright, so that's our removal and our interaction, instant speed, combo defense. Again, no big surprises in there. I'm going to hop back over to the OBS here. Let's see how the stream's going. Looks to me like we're going good, but I've seen nothing in the chat. Sound off in the chat if you're watching. Let me know you're there, because it does not show me how many active viewers there are. So, but it looks like everything's working fine on my end. Alright, let's go back to the list here, and let's go to our next category of cards. And what should that be? You know what, let's look at something fun. Let's go with Mana Rocks. Mana Rocks are a crowd pleaser a lot of the time. We got a Chrome Mox, we got a Mana Vault, we got Signets and Felwar Stones, and oh, you know, there's a land I missed, Command Tower, and Lotus Petal, and a Lion's Eye Diamond. Alright, let's start another pile over here while we're going. That's a Signet. There's a lot of combo pieces in this deck. And as I go through trying to pull and sort everything, I go 2 cards forward and then 1 card back when I realize I've missed a card that pulls double duty as a win condition. And we'll see Meat Hook Massacre in a moment here, which is both a board wipe and a potential combo piece. There's a lot of cards pulling double duty in the deck list, which I really do like. It's pretty dense with routes to victory, which I think is important when you're playing something that's kind of inherently interactable. You know, most people who are running combos are not running just 2-card combos, and if they are 2 cards, they may be interactable. I think Thoracle is probably the worst offender in terms of not being very easy to interact with and also just being 2 cards. But most of the other combos you see out there are a little more involved. And so since my main game plan is in that kind of inherently disruptible category, I think it's really important to have a lot of redundancy that lets me just access that over and over again, so I can keep presenting an interruptible plan and sort of like a persistence predator, just sort of hunt my opponents to exhaustion. Alright, so we've got Signets, we've got Grim Monolith, we've got... Alright, well, let's just go through the list and type it up, shall we? We've got a Mana Crypt. We've got a Lotus Petal. We've got Lion's Eye Diamond. Definitely one of my favorite cards on the deck. Being able to power out Sharuum while putting a key combo piece in the yard is one of my favorite things to do. Jeweled Lotus. Jeweled Lotus really stepped this deck up a notch in my mind because it lets you kind of cast Sharuum a little more proactively than you usually could. Because if you don't have anything else to bring back, you can just power Sharuum out with the Jeweled Lotus and bring back the Jeweled Lotus, which goes a long way towards paying the tax if Sharuum gets killed, because you were a little too aggressive. And it's nice to be able to kind of bait interaction out at a low cost, though it's not like people don't see that coming. But what can they do about it? They bitch about it every time, but they kill Sharuum anyway because they're scared. Though I will say one of the things that I think this deck runs into a lot now is people not understanding how it functions. So this deck tech is probably not good for the record that I'll have this weekend, but I don't really like winning games just because my opponents don't understand what the deck is trying to do, and I don't think that's how most decks out there are winning. So I'm not afraid of you understanding. Oops, that's a Zuri signal. Not afraid of you understanding my plan, but I am aware that I probably get some free wins off of people not knowing what I'm doing currently. So sometimes people will kill a Sharuum, or I can bait interaction with a Sharuum that is sitting out there kind of obviously doing nothing, because I think people just know that it can be part of a quick combo that kills them out of nowhere, but they aren't clear on how that functions, so they figure better safe than sorry, better burn some removal now. And, the wins that I get off of that, they're not my favorite wins. Alright, so I've got the key combo pieces sitting right here, but I kind of want to save that juice for later. Let's keep going through kind of stuff that helps put the plan together. So let's look at tutors next. We've got a lot of tutors in here. I'm going to include Bolus's Citadel in the tutors category, and we're going to also go with things that filter and recur, because those really allow for card selection as well. I'm going to keep back some pretty obvious combo pieces that I don't really think fit in this category, even though they do technically do the thing that we're talking about, and you'll see what I mean in a second when we go through those. So let's look at these cards that we're going to call kind of dedicated tutors, starting with this beautiful Judge Promo Vampiric Tutor. This is, if you were watching my stream a couple weeks ago, you saw me open 2 foil Vampiric Tutors in 1 box of Dominaria Remastered, and it's a little soul-crushing, because this one that I just entered here used to be like the only foil of it, and I don't even have the heart to look at what its price is nowadays. It means a lot to me. I got it when it was very expensive. So there's all these stories out there about MTG boomers who are joking about how they paid $10 for dual lands, but it's not all stories about how we made incredible amounts of money. Sometimes you bought the new hotness and then it just got power crept out of existence, or reprinted to death, or both. See Dominaria Remastered for plentiful examples of both. Alright, so Tezzeret here, I don't think should be very confusing. He's an old school inclusion in the deck, and he's one of my favorites because he can fetch all the parts of the combo. You've got an Altar of the Brutes. You have an artifact you can get for the Aristocrats half of the combo. He can fetch removal in the form of Portable Hole. He can fetch all the clone effects that are artifacts. So Phyrexian Metamorph, Sculpting Steel, and Machine of the Machine God's Effigy. That's it. Alright, technical difficulties there for a moment. Allergy season still. Alright, let's get a... Savin's Reclamation is a new addition to the deck that I'm very happy with, because this deck just loves putting stuff in the graveyard. It's kind of a no-brainer. Should have had it in for a while. Sensei's Divining Top. Definitely one of the more powerful card sorting options in the deck. I've gotten rid of all the cheap draw spells in here. Over time, the only one left really is like Factor Fiction. And that's just there because it tends to put a lot of cards in the yard and it lets me choose which ones go. But Top does it does a tremendous amount of work, and I end up fetching it pretty often off of Urza Saga. Okay, so we got our tutors, and now let's look at stuff that helps us just kind of draw cards. I've got 3 cards in the draw cards category, and I'm going to also throw Lotho in here. It doesn't draw us cards, but does make us mana. And sort of, oh, I forgot Demonic Tutor in the tutors. That's a pretty important one. Oh, and Entomb. Wow, okay. Alright, yeah, let's go ahead and put Demonic Tutor and Entomb in real quick. Kind of big ones. I was busy looking for small, or more subtle ones there. Okay, so let's go with Lotho. Lotho is a new addition to the deck, obviously, brand new card, but he's been awesome. Obviously, also he's going to be more or less awesome depending on how your opponents behave, but I think that they'll probably be even less inclined to slow down for a Lotho than they are for like a Rhystic Study, and in my experience, people are not willing at all to slow down for a Rhystic Study, so I'm pretty sure I'm just going to continue to make lots of treasures off of him. The One Ring, this is not, in my mind, the best One Ring deck, but it's far from the worst. You can get the One Ring off of Tezzeret, which is very nice. And it just, I want to draw cards. Esper Sentinel, pretty self-explanatory. Okay, so now we're getting down to the bottom here. Let's see, we've got a few effects that help protect our combo. And let's take a look at those. So, we have Teferi Time Raveler, the good old 3 fairy. Man, you put Teferi, time, there's still 5 possible options. I think they've been back to that well too many times. Born Upon a Wind. Interesting card. Just kind of lets you maybe go off at unpredictable times, maybe react in a way that your opponent's not expecting. Ranger Captain of Eos. The only creature in the deck he can actually fetch is Disciple of the Vault. Oh, I'm sorry, you got Esper Sentinel as well now. Both of which are fine options. Being able to go get half of my main combo, which also, incidentally, is the one Aristocrats type option I have in the deck that punishes treasures, which comes into play a lot. Particularly if someone wants to go off with Infinite Dockside or something like that. Having a Disciple on board can disincentivize that. But the Ranger Captain also protects my combo after I fetch. Alright, sorry about that, everyone. Ooh, alright, let's let this allergy attack pass. I'm just going to type some cards in silence. Okay, now why did I leave Teferi on the table? Because I'm going to throw down a card that is just a really good piece of utility. Oh, you know what? Hang on. There you go. Curse Totem, sorry. Should also go here. It's not a silence, but it is just good old disruption that stops a lot of people from going off. This is put in probably a little emotionally, but it's a direct response to the decks that I've lost to over the past week, all of which would have been harmed by a Curse Totem. So it's going in. Okay, but why did I leave Teferi on the table? It's because I have Displacer Kitten. So for those who don't know, you can draw your whole deck with a 0-drop artifact, of which I have many. What do I have? Yeah, it's all of them. Okay, so I've got Chrome Mox, Jeweled Lotus, Mox Opal, Mana Crypt, Lion's Eye Diamond, and Lotus Petal. So with a 0-drop and Teferi and Displacer Kitten, you can draw your whole deck. You use Teferi to bounce your 0-drop artifact. You cast the 0-drop artifact, use Displacer Kitten to flicker your Teferi. When you bounce the artifact, you draw a card with Teferi. So you repeat this loop, and you draw as much of your deck as you want to, while under a Teferi, who's always on board while anyone has priority. He's only leaving the board during the resolution of the Displacer Kitten ability. So if you can manage to assemble these pieces, you get to draw your deck, and presumably get to win from there. Especially with all these 0-drop rocks, you don't really have to have much to start that loop to finish it. Alright, what do we have left in here? We have one of the alternate win cons. Well, I guess the other alternate win con, which is Thassa's Oracle. We've got both Tainted Pact and Demonic Consultation. Pretty self-explanatory. We're in the right colors. We have a million tutors. We have the ability to cast spells at instant speed with Born Upon a Wind, things like that. And while our opponent's eyes are on our very redundant main combo, sometimes we can just squeak in with the Thoracle, and it's a threat that our opponents have to respect. Alright, so thank you to everyone who's borne with me up until this point. Let's go ahead and check over here. Still got no one in the chat, but if anybody is out there watching, we're just getting to the good part now. I appreciate you hanging out. We're going to go ahead and look at the main combo. So, this is how Sharuum really seeks to win the game. I've got 5 effects that allow me to clone my Sharuum, and I've got 7 aristocrats type effects that loop with any of these clones and Sharuum. So again, just to remind you the way the combo functions, we're going to have Sharuum enter the battlefield if I've got any of these 3 artifact clones in the yard, the Sculpting Steel, Phyrexian Metamorph, or the Machine God's Effigy, or if I have one of these 2 in my hand, Saw in Half or Copy Artifact, I can cast Sharuum first and then target Sharuum with one of these to create the clone copy after the fact. But that will then start an infinite creature sacrifice loop, which is going to do infinite damage, infinite loss of life, which is important because it gets past the 1 ring's protection. So we're going to do infinite loss of life from Cruel Celebrant. Blood Artist and Disciple of the Vault both target. Elias Ilkor does not target, says each opponent loses 1 life. Meathook Massacre says each opponent loses 1 life. Zulaport Cutthroat says each opponent loses 1 life, and Altar the Brood says each opponent mills 1. So the 2 weakest in the deck are the Blood Artist and the Disciple of the Vault. Blood Artist is probably the most cuttable card in the deck at this point. Disciple does give me an option to punish people using treasures, and it's also fetchable from Ranger Captain, and just a 1-drop option. Sometimes allows you to go off a turn earlier. Just one thing to point out, Machine God's Effigy coming in as nearly anything else good in the deck that sacrifices itself often allows you to make mana. Actually, any of these 3, copying, for instance, a Jeweled Lotus or a Lion's Eye Diamond, can help you to make the mana you need to cast Sharuum and then put themselves in the graveyard just in time to be returned for the combo. So there's a lot of options to just kind of go off quickly. You generate a ton of mana, not out of nowhere, but very quickly. And it's easy to interact with in any given instance. Actually, I need to enter all these still. It's easy to interact with in any given instance, but you just have like another option to win. You just go off after. They interrupted once, you just go off the next turn. They interrupted again, you just go off the next turn or the turn after. And you have a lot of chance of drawing into your pieces because there's so much redundancy that even if your opponent's shut down, you're tutoring, you're not dead in the water, just drawing, lands and more tutors. You have a lot of redundancy for the core combo. And that's really how the deck functions. So I did a lot of talking there and not a lot of entering of these cards real quick, so let's go ahead and get that done. Okay, didn't get any of these, so Displacer, Kitten, and then Thassa's Oracle, and then Taming Pact, and then Demonic Consultation. Got Disciple. Can tell I'm typing just a little bit offset from where I'd normally be sitting because of how I'm set up on the desk here. Altar the Brood. Zulaport, Cutthroat. The Meathook. Not Meathook Massacre, the Meathook Massacre. That's why it's a legendary enchantment. Elias Ilkor. Get that Cruel Celebrant. And a Copy Artifact. Saw in Half. Okay, didn't just add 2 of those, did we? Oh, okay. Sculpting Steel. Got a Phyrexian Metamorph. And a Machine God's Effigy. Oh, and the Blood Artist. Alright, last thing to add are the lands here. Already went through these, just gonna type these real quick. And then for everyone who's stuck around through this, should there be anyone who has stuck around through this, you'll get to see what we're doing next here. I'm gonna go ahead and open a little bit of sealed product. Yeah, sure, we'll add the Balin's Tomb, Ancient Tomb, why not? Cephalid Coliseum. Very happy to pick this up for my buddy Jimmy today for the tournament. Shout out Jimmy, appreciate your help. Alright, Mikokoro. Great card. Coming to new prominence again since it can kill greedy players winning with Thassa's Oracle. Which is always good to see. You like that. And I say greedy players as though I'm not sometimes one of them, but very rarely, very rarely. Island and swamp. Very nice. That's cool. Does Moxfield like understand that I'm playing an Esper deck, so it's not going to recommend stuff that's outside of my color identity? I guess that's true, but it knows who the commander is. That's cool. Hashtag not sponsored. Okay. I already counted the actual cards earlier, but we'll make sure we got everything entered correctly and have a 100-card deck on here in just a moment. Almost done, just a few left. Here at Mesa. Man, they really try to make you feel good with these prices. These are not accurate. I don't know if this is like TCG mid, average, or something. These are... Whew. Well, that one kind of looks right. Maybe I'm wrong. I don't know. I mean, I really don't know. I don't keep up with prices. That one was right. Okay, that makes me think they're all right. And I'm just, like, blown away by how expensive some of these are. Alright, cool. There we go, sounding like a real MTG boomer again. Alright, got the Sharuum. Do I have to put the Sharuum in the list? No, okay, they do that for me. That's good. Okay, well, that's the list. So, we got Sharuum the Hegemon. Let's double check. We have a 100 main deck. That's what you like to see. 2 Planeswalkers. No battles. 15 creatures. 2 sorceries. 26 instants. 25 artifacts. 4 enchantments. Okay, and then 30 lands. Yep, that's the deck. So, since we got it here, can you do a sample hand on here? You playtest. Sure. Let's playtest a hand here. Alright, we got a Chrome Mox and a Mox Opal, and an Urza Saga. We got 2 cheap pieces of interaction and 1 combo piece. So, we do have some ramp, but other than the Saga, this hand has nothing going for it. It doesn't have, pardon me, it doesn't have any ability to go digging for any pieces. It doesn't have enough artifacts to turn the Opal on. It has 2 lands, one of which is going to go away. It only has access to 1 colored mana currently. I would keep this hand if it was like my second mull. Probably, I would just probably pitch one of these interaction pieces in the Zulaport Cutthroat. Probably keep the Misstep, because I have like 6 other copies of this basically I can draw. And the Dispel I'm less likely to have mana open for. I would hope to just draw into another artifact here, so I can activate the Opal and go from there. But let's mull again. Can we mull in this, or just draw a new hand? Restart. Okay. This is probably a little more exciting for me because we have a turn 2 Sharuum here. We have a Chrome Mox where we can pitch a Swords to Plowshares. We have a Jeweled Lotus, and we have enough lands to get a turn 2 Sharuum returning the Jeweled Lotus. And we still have a piece of interaction here. So this just has access to more of the mana that's in it, and more of the cards in it are live than the last hand, even though um, maybe the last hand at least had one of the combo pieces in it already. This one has further to go to actually get there. But if you can hold the Takanuma, you might be able to mill this out too, and because you have 7 of those guys, you have a pretty decent chance of being able to get one in the yard. That's not going to be my A plan. I don't know. Having mulled, I would definitely keep this at 6. If this was my 7, I might go for another 6, or I might go for the. I'm sorry, no, this is my free mull, so I can go to 6 here, but I would keep this on the free mull. But if this were, I would keep this for sure. If it were 6, I wouldn't want to go to 5. This would be better than most 5s. So let's go ahead and see what happens with this hand. We'll go ahead and play a Chrome Mox, pitching the Swords to Plowshares, and we'll play a Marsh Flats. Let's go to next turn. All right, we drew a Zulaport Cutthroat, so we have one of our combo pieces. We're going to play a Verdant Catacombs. Let's go ahead and pop the Marsh Flats. Draw. Move to battlefield. Okay, I don't know how to use this thing. Move to battle. Wow. Well, sure. That's what we'll get. Oh, I guess that was just the top card from here. That's funny. Shuffle? Did I tell you to shuffle? Shuffle. Oh, there you go. View library. Probably that's where I need to go. But either way, we have the mana. We can cast Sharuum here if we want. Casting Sharuum lets us next turn untap, and if we draw a clone, we can play the other 2 parts of the combo and try to back it up with Swan Song, but Sharuum is pretty likely to get killed, and even with Jeweled Lotus, we're 2 more turns away from recasting Sharuum. I don't know if I like those odds. The worst case scenario is Sharuum gets stolen, but that's very unlikely, especially on like turn 2. Gilded Drake could certainly come in and ruin our plans, though, in which case we'll be really sad that we exiled our Swords to Plowshares. We'll have to wait for another piece of removal to help us get that back. So, given that Gilded Lotus is a real card, I'm not going to cast Sharuum on turn 2 here because I don't really have a good backup plan, and I do have interaction that can protect me against other stuff if I just hold off a turn. So I'm going to go ahead and cast... You want to tap? Tap, okay. We're going to go ahead and cast the Zulaport Cutthroat and go to the next turn. Alright, we drew more interaction. So we can play this land, or we can use this land, which actually I guess we can't. Yeah, we don't have enough mana to use this land. So I think at this point, pardon me, I'm just going to pass and play the control role here. So this one definitely, I should have gotten a Tundra, not a scrub land, because I don't have any blue mana up here. So let's go ahead and pop this for, let's see, what is it? Yeah, we'll get Underground Sea. There we go, Underground Sea. Library is open. Yeah, so Underground Sea. Can I move to battlefield? Cool. All right. So I got an Underground Sea. Close the library. Let's say I end up using the Swan Song that turn. We'll go to the next turn. Oh, cool. I drew a kitten. So this kitten's not much good to me. At the moment, I don't have any way to trigger it. So, and I'm no closer to getting Takanuma out. I'm just going to raw dog this cat and see if I can draw some hate. See if I can just burn people out. Okay, a card was drawn, I agree. Okay, I'm playing a land. See if I can burn out some people's removal or interaction with the cat. And now I'm in a position where I can uselessly blink a land, or the cat, or the Cutthroat. So I can at least try to protect it. This is a pretty lame playthrough, I must say. I have 2 cards in hand, drawing interaction, drawing mana. Okay, now we got a One Ring. This is several turns down the road. I've probably used this to stop someone from going off by now. Let's say I still have a mana drain. We're going to tap 4. Okay, let's see. Select, tap, play a One Ring, tap. Okay, I don't need the preview. Draw. It draws me a Mox Opal. Alright, thanks for all the ramp. I got some ramp into a Mox Opal there, which probably shouldn't play, should leave mana drain access open, but I did get to blink a bunch of stuff with, like, the Wartsop Signet there. For instance, is going to blink that, and the One Ring would also blink something. So there you go. We'll leave the mana drain up. Let's say I get to cast it this turn, and I have 4 mana coming next turn. That should be fun. So I'm going to take 1 on my upkeep from the Warm Ring or whatever. We'll just play through that. I'm going to draw 2 cards off the ring. Okay, go away, preview. Draw. And there we go. Alright, so now we have the chance to go for the combo here. So I'm going to cast, let's have these 4. I'm going to cast the Machine God's Effigy. I'm going to copy the Jeweled Lotus. I'm going to sacrifice the 2 Loti there and tap the Chrome Mox to cast Sharuum. And Sharuum is going to return the Machine God's Effigy, and this is our combo here. Now, because we're saying we burned all the interaction, we don't have anything to back it up with, which is a bummer, that we could have removed a piece of interaction here, or if somebody tries to flash in something like Containment Priest. Containment Priest stops us here, right? So, maybe we respond to that by exiling it until end of turn, but touch the Spirit Realm here. But we can try to go off. We also did get some blinks out of casting the various spells here. So, like, I got a blink out of casting this. I guess I don't get one out of casting Sharuum. But let's say... Okay, so actually with these two, you get some nice interactions here, because this is not a creature when it copies Sharuum. So I lost a game because I did this wrong yesterday, so I've learned this lesson for all time. If you have these two, or anything that copies Sharuum and isn't a creature, put Sharuum in the yard. Don't put that thing in the yard. Because now your combo can only be interrupted if this is removed, and this isn't a creature. Whereas Sharuum is an artifact and a creature, so that's 2 categories of removal. If I leave Sharuum out and I let this go to the yard, you can interrupt me with the Swords to Plowshares, which is what happened last night. But if I leave that out and put Sharuum in the yard, Sharuum returns when the trigger resolves and immediately Legend rules out and goes to the yard, and nobody gets priority between those two. So there's no time when you can actually interact and stop Sharuum with a creature removal spell. You have to disenchant or otherwise remove this artifact to stop the combo that way. Now, of course, Swords to Plowshares is still going to work in this case because I have Zulport Cutthroat. Last night I had an Altar of the Brood, so it was a different situation where that Swords could only remove the Sharuum, and it was my bad for leaving it live. But, lesson learned. And it was really worthwhile to learn that lesson last night and not in the context of the actual Showdown. So, glad for that. Alright, hey! Appreciate you hopping on, Dragonfire. Thanks for joining. So, oh man, I have nothing at all in the camera field of view. That's my bad. That's what I get for not being able to actually see OBS at the same time I'm looking at the other browser on there. Sorry, the setup's complete amateur hour. But it's still better than my usual setup. I got 2 monitors and all this other stuff. But I did promise goodies. I said if we got through getting this deck list created, I don't have the registration submitted yet, but I won't make y'all wait through all that. I'll go ahead and do that when we end the stream here. But in the meantime, let's go ahead and open some stuff. So the one proxy still in this deck is Saw in Half. And I have one coming for me tomorrow. But I don't know, man. I don't know. Do I want to do it? I've got this Infinity Collector's box. I have no desire to open this, though. I got this to maybe get some Shocklands out of it, but I don't need the Shocklands. And the only card I need here is a Saw in Half. It's a $7 card. I think this is a $100 box, maybe a $200 box. So opening it for a $4 card seems kind of ridiculous. I've been known to do ridiculous things, though, but I'm thinking, if I'm going to open some crazy product and just kind of waste some money on it, it should at least be something that I would like to have afterward, and these Infinity cards do not fit that description. I cannot stand silver-boarded sets. I'm really annoyed that I have to care about one card in this one, but that's what we get nowadays. So, in the meantime, let's open these Brothers War set booster packs I got in a draft the other night. Won these second place in a draft. So, let's see what we got. Brothers War was a neat set. I've only played the pre-release and opened very little sealed product of this, so this is nice. And I could definitely use a ton of cards from this set. So we got an art card. Can't say I know much about it. I'm going to try to up the light here. A little brighter. Not too many shadows. Okay. Alright, let's skip the junk. Who cares? Get to the good stuff. Okay, where's the good stuff? I didn't find it yet. All I found is a Sundering Titan and a Mechanized Warfare and an Arbalest Engineers, which is definitely the best of those 3 cards, and it is not good. I would play it in limited, though. Let's see if the rest of this pack is the same. Complete. Power Stone Fracture. Yep, that's 100% clusterfuck. We will move along swiftly from that one. Definitely not what we were hoping to see. We're just going to put that one behind us. Move along. Let's see if this art card's a better omen. What the hell is this? This is Power Stone Engineer. I'm not going to say that I have a strong feeling one way or the other about Power Stone Engineer, but if I did have to pick one way or the other, well, let's just say I don't want to. Okay, well this pack has 2 rares and an Aetherflux Reservoir, so I'm much happier with it than the last one. Old Frame Aetherflux is pretty hot. Takesia's Welcome. I've never heard of this card, so I'm betting it's not good. Okay, alright, so it's like a weird Mentor of the Meek. Whenever one or more creatures with mana value 3 or less enters the battlefield under your control, draw a card instead of power 2 or less. But this ability doesn't cost you mana, but only triggers once each turn. So pretty weak. Might be an interesting hat, just because people won't go out of their way to kill it, but it's not going to be super powerful. Fall of the Thran for a second rare, pretty sweet. Destroy all lands is a 6 mana saga, I guess, you know, not the worst. And a silly foil that nobody cares about. And we got a bunch of junky commons. Let's keep moving. The Aetherflux I'm happy with, though. I only have like 2 Aetherfluxes, so I will happily take another. Alright, this one's got a Saheeli Rai poking out the back. She couldn't wait. And then we got, these art cards always stick. We got Mass Production. That's a nice one. I like the full art lands quite a bit. I know the full art lands in every set are a complete cliche at this point, and I'm sick of them too, but at least they're nice. Like, the last few have been really good. Symmetry Matrix. That's a weird card. Why does that cost 4? I guess it's good and limited? That's weird. Okay. Exile top 2 cards of your library, and you get to play one until end of turn, and it has Unearth. This card's adorable. Not good, but definitely adorable. Oh, good, Loron. I actually was very strongly considering putting this card in Sharuum, and I'm still not sure it's a bad idea. I don't have... Well, I have a couple of other legends, but being able to retrieve artifacts from my yard is very powerful. I don't know. I don't think it's good enough. But it's definitely something I considered for a little while. And I think there's another Loron that's actually a better fit, that's like tap you and target opponent each draw card, and it might have, oh, it has an ETB disenchant effect on it. I think that one's actually worth considering. Okay, so Cyclonus the Saboteur. I got myself a Transformers card. That's cool just because I didn't have any Transformers cards, but if I'm going to open Transformers cards, could we please make it Slicer, so I don't have to acquire one of those in any other way. This guy connives and then converts and deals combat damage to a player and then gives you an additional beginning phase. That's a lot of weird effects. And then Ivory Tower is not at all impressive there. Titania's Command. Gain 1 life for each card exiled for target player's graveyard. Search for lands. Make 2 bears. Put 2 counters on. This card should... Well, okay. You choose 2... It's 6 mana, it's unplayable, but it's kind of a neat card. I kind of want to put... No, okay. Yeah, there's no way that's going in the Upwelling Cube, which is too bad. It really is too bad. This guy, on the other hand, at 4... Maybe this guy can go in the Upwelling Cube. Because the more that meets the eye, you can cast it converted for 7. That's definitely Upwelling territory. And at 4... you get this really underwhelming guy who lets you connive and eventually gets big enough to convert. But if you want to just cast him converted, it's 7. I kind of like that. I would consider this guy for the Upwelling Cube. And Saheeli Rai, little blast from the past. Get her Felidar Guardian. She's happy as a clam. Last pack of Brothers War. What do we got? We got a Goblin Sharbelcher sketch. That's actually a really sweet art card. I like that a lot. Alright, Junk, Scrapwork Cohort, Hero of the Dunes, Human Soldier. Well, no way I'm paying 5 mana for that effect, but it's nice. Whenever one or more artifacted creature cards leave your graveyard during your turn, put a +1/+1 counter on target creature you control. Bad hat. Meticulous Excavation. Much better hat. Really interesting card. Return target permanent you control to its owner's hand. It's an enchantment for 1 mana, 3 mana to activate. To regrowth a permanent you could, or sorry, bounce a permanent you control. If it has Unearth, instead exile it, then return it to owner's hand. So you can use it to save your Unearthed creatures, but it's just a 3 mana rebuy in white. Is a very interesting effect. Mishra's Bauble and Soul Guide Lantern. It's like they kind of felt sorry for me, so they gave me 2 mid-tier uncommons instead of a decent rare. And I get a foil Bitter Reunion, hooray, and a Transmogrant's Crown. I don't like this card. This is bad equipment. It would be very playable in Limited, but I don't want it anywhere else. Okay, that pack made me deeply sad. Let's remember better times together. We're going to go back to when I opened a Saheeli Rai and an Aetherflux Reservoir, and we're going to focus on those. And in the meantime, I'll tell you what, I've completely talked myself out of opening this Infinity garbage. I'm just going to buy a Saw in half tomorrow and hope for the best. So, I'm going to grab something else cool for us to open. Bear with me just a moment. Alright, let's see. You guys can hear me fumble around trying to find something. Gotta be a randomized product to be fun. Can't just be opening precons. Alright, you still there, Dragonfire? Let me know if I got any viewers. I'm not cracking shit unless I get someone sounding off in the comments here. Let me know if someone's watching. And if so, let's watch some Commander Masters, one more collector booster box to open, and I've also, for a little sugar on top, got this Zendikar Rising promo pack. Yeah, so those prices being Card Kingdom and not TCG makes a lot of sense. That really explains everything about them. Excellent. All right, Dragonfire. Thanks for letting me know. Ready to crack this Commander Masters, or should we do the promo pack first? Let me know. Let me know. And while you do, I'm going to hop back over to Moxfield. And we're going to see if I get a better hand this time, because that one was pretty bad. This one's interesting. I'll keep this. So, yeah, interesting hand for sure. It's not great. I mean, it's kind of asking for a lot, but I think we'll be okay. We're going to go Swamp, Mana Vault, Mox Opal. Next turn. Demonic Tutor. We're going to go Arid Mesa. We'll move to Graveyard, go to Library. We're going to get Tundra. Why is this not, like, alphabetized? I don't get... I guess it's just in order. You're looking at it in order. Yeah, okay, that's definitely what's happening here. Tundra. Okay, cool. We're going to move Tundra to the battlefield. And then we're going to... Pardon me, we're going to cast... Trinket Mage. And we're going to get... Let's see. We do 2. That's Demonic Tutor. So we can get Soul Ring, cast it, cast Demonic Tutor. Or we can get... I mean, Soul Ring or Mana Crypt or Jeweled Lotus or LED is usually best here. Soul Ring is actually pretty underwhelming. because we only have 2 colored mana sources, and we already tapped our mana vault, and we're unlikely to want to untap it. So I think we're going to go ahead and get... This is way more intuitive when I'm looking through a real list, but looking through this list of cards is harder for me to process. So let's go ahead and get the Jeweled Lotus. Okay. Get Jeweled Lotus off of that, close and shuffle. So now our Mox Opal makes mana 2. So we'll go ahead and cast our Demonic Tutor. And now I think we can get Mana Crypt. So I guess we could have gotten Mana Crypt before and then gotten Jeweled Lotus and left mana up. That probably would have made a lot more sense. Let's pretend I did that. Let's learn from this and pretend I did that. So we're going to go... So we got Mana Crypt the first time. Let's find the Mana Crypt. We'll figure out what that means. I'm leaving up. Mana Drain. Where's the Crypt? Mana Crypt. Okay. Move to battlefield. So, close and shuffle. Alright, so we got this the first time, which means we didn't have to tap this land. We tapped those 2, and we're leaving a blue, we're leaving a colorless floating that we're not going to use, and having Demonic Tutored for the Jeweled Lotus, we can now cast the Mystical Tutor at end of turn. What do we want to get here? So we have a bunch of mana. We can definitely cast Sharuum. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 8 mana available for Sharuum. What's in our graveyard? We've got... show me the graveyard, please. Can I look at it? No? Well, that's kind of annoying. Is that the only one I'm allowed to look at? What's in the graveyard? Show me the graveyard. Alright, so there's a Demonic Tutor. Okay, that's what I thought. It's just Demonic Tutor and Mystical Tutor, so we're going to end up rebuying the Demonic Tutor next turn with the Snapcaster. So let's go ahead and just go... Oh, wait, sorry. We've got to put an instant or sorcery on top, and we have plenty of mana. This instant or sorcery should be, at this point, either a tutor that gets us the other half of the combo. We're going to rebuy the Demonic Tutor, but we'll still need something to get us the other half, or we can get defense. I'm inclined to get a tutor here. Intuition is going to be the best pick. We're going to move this to the top of the library, close. We're going to go to next turn, draw the Intuition, shuffle now since we know what's going on there. Alright, this stays tapped. This guy's irrelevant to us right now. Who cares if we took damage on our upkeep? Let's see, we're gonna... How much mana do we have? 1, 2, 3, 4... Okay, we're gonna Snapcaster... Oh, actually, untap you. Tap you. We're gonna... Not both of you. Untap you. Alright, there you go. Finally made the correct colors of mana. We're going to cast a Snapcaster, tap this for the black mana, flashback the Demonic Tutor. This is a weird game. Okay, there you go. Flashback the Demonic Tutor. Let's look at the library. Let's get... Okay, it's 1. I have no mana floating. I have 1 available. And we're gonna Intuition. Well, we're not gonna Intuition right now. Do I actually just get a land? There's no way I just get a land. That's silly. To have tutored for an Intuition and then burn 4 mana to get a land. It makes no sense. So I can get whatever I want here. Metamorph's the usual pick, but we're going to leave all the clone fetching for the Intuition, I believe. So I can get Alter and cast it here, or I can get a creature and hold it, or I can get Interaction. I have mana available. I'm inclined to get Interaction here. that can help protect us when we do go off. So I think I'm going to get offer. There you go. Let's move to hand. Close and shuffle. So that's going to defend our combo. We're not going to be able to cast Intuition this turn, so we're going to go, let's see, so we would go to next turn, but before draw, we're going to cast Intuition. This is tapped still. We're going to cast Intuition like this. Library. We're going to get Sculpting Steel. Actually, sorry, not Sculpting Steel. We're going to get Metamorph. We're going to get Machine God's Effigy. And we're going to get one of my favorites. LED is not necessary here. We can't get, let's see. Well, yeah, we can get Alter the Brood. If we get Alter the Brood, we definitely get a clone in our hand. We definitely get one in the yard. Let's see. So we actually don't need both here. Let's move that back. Let's get LED. Yeah, okay, we'll get LED, Metamorph, and Alter the Brood. Okay, and now it doesn't really matter what gets put in our hand. LED is the best thing to put in our hand because then we have to find a way to get the other half back out of the yard, which is why I don't really like this. It's like getting 3 of the same thing is fantastic here. Getting the LED, I don't think really solves any of our problems here. Let's not get the Alter the Brood because I really don't want to get it stuck. No, it's fine. Okay, we'll get Metamorph, Alter the Brood, and Machine God's Effigy. There you go. Okay, so we get these 3. So they put 1 in our hand and 2 in the yard. Probably put the most expensive in our hand, which is this one. Put these in the yard. Close and shuffle. Okay, so we cast that on our upkeep. Right? So now we're going to draw. We got a silence. That's nice. This is not tapped. So we have 2 mana available. Yeah, not drawing lands is kind of a bummer this game, but we are drawing very powerful spells. So next turn, we can do Sharuum easily. This turn, we have Offer mana up, and we can silence an opponent who's trying to go off. That's it. That's all we can do here. We're not floating anything. Not being able to cast that Intuition last turn was pretty rough, so there's no reason to do this upkeep cast. Having looked through the options, I'm not sure there was a best case scenario that justified this. So let's go ahead and go to next turn when we're finally allowed to draw land, and now we're going to try to go off. So we're going to silence. Pardon me. Okay, and we've got 7 mana here. We're going to cast, this is tap 2. Let's see. 2, 3, 4. Cast Machine God's Effigy, make a Jeweled Lotus. Tap these. Put those. Okay, hang on. No, we're bringing the altar back. Yeah, no, we're screwed here. Hang on. How did I manage to mess this up? Doing a late night Sharuum playthrough, right? Because we're gonna crack this. I don't have the altar in play. I'm going to be able to get Sharuum. Sharuum can bring back the altar, but can't bring back the clone. So I actually have to play this in the other order, which means I can't use this to power out Sharuum. That's a bummer. Okay. But it is at least clear what we need to do. So this is back in the hand. Untapped. Okay, so this was silence. And I think we need the silence, and I'm pretty sure we can support the silence. Let's figure it out. Because this casts Sharuum. Actually, that casts Sharuum, but I can only do it like this and leave 1 mana floating. Wait, what am I talking about? No, this is short. This is 3, but it can only make 1 color. I need the other 2 colored, and then I'm still short 1, so I can float a colorless from here and have a blue. But that means I definitely can't go off this turn. If I try the Machine God's Effigy first, no, it doesn't do anything for me. Yeah, I do not have a route to win this turn. That's, and even if I didn't cast the silence, I still don't. That's disconcerting. I thought I got there. So 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Yeah, I can make 4. That gives me 5 to cast Sharuum. It's not enough. Or I can put this in the art and then I get infinite stacks with no triggers. So I'm actually just completely stuck here. That really blows. So the best thing to do is probably to copy something else in play with this Machine God's Effigy. And this is where Goldfishing doesn't tell the whole story here. Because I definitely can do that. An alternative that might have also been good to consider is that this could copy the Trinket Mage and get the Altar of the Brood, but obviously the Altar of the Brood's already in the yard, so we're not going to get there. Okay, I see you said promo pack now. Alright. Well, we've been through this playthrough for a while. Let's get into this promo pack. And I'll tell you what, let's switch to that. There we go. Webcam only view. These packs feel so flimsy. I'm always afraid I'm going to damage the cards inside. Got to open them on the end. Alright, Zendikar Rising promo pack. This is what, like 5 years old? 4 years old? 2020, 3 years old. Man, time is flying. Alright, we got a Valakut Exploration. I feel like this card was actually good in Standard when this came out. Is that right? It's kind of interesting. Whenever a land ETB is exiled top card of your library, play that card for as long as it remains exiled, and at the beginning of your end step, you put them in your graveyard and deal that much damage to your opponent. You got a Ketria Triumph promo pack. That's nice. Got a Love Teamer and a Blood Chief's Thirst. This is a pretty sweet little pack, and I get a pack. So, alright. I'll take that. Nothing earth-shattering, but Ketria Triumph's like pretty playable, so I'll take it. Alright, let's get this Commander Masters Collector Booster open. And appreciate you hanging out. We're over the hour mark now, so appreciate your company and hanging out just for some fun on the stream. This has been a good time going through the deck and doing some terrible playthroughs online. This deck, it feels like it used to Goldfish much better when it was much less capable of interaction, but it wins more games now. I don't know. I feel like no matter how much practice I put in with this deck, I still stumble on some of the lines sometimes. So, okay, let's go ahead and pull our first Commander Masters pack here. Wish me luck. I debated not opening this box because you may recall I got a Jeweled Lotus in the last one, and so what are the odds? But I mean, these probably came from the same case, but I don't know that for sure. And there's plenty of good stuff in this set I didn't get. That's right, I forgot these packs are like freaking made of tungsten. This is just ridiculously strong packaging. I don't want to bend the cards inside. Just let me open this pack seamlessly. Yeah, interaction helps. You know, when you're trying not to die, having cards that say, I don't die this turn, it turns out, are pretty good. Okay, legit, this pack does not want me to open it. There it goes. Okay, I actually put more force into it than I want because I don't want to bend the front cards because they're all shiny. And these cards tend to have enough problems as it is, but let's see what we got here. We got a bunch of junk nobody cares about. And And we got a deflecting SWAT. I was just complaining I didn't have one earlier today, so that's fantastic. Skipped right over this beautiful Dread Return that I happen to know is worth like $0. I have not even seen this Kadama's Reach before. That's awesome. Ron Spencer art. Such disrespect that this is worth like nothing. Wow, that's awesome. Ron Spencer coming back to do art for the game is really cool. Nadir's Nightblade is great. Valduck. I love these old Plains reprints. God, these packs are so cool. Commander Masters. Deflecting SWAT. That's dope. That goes right into a deck, I'm sure. That is a fancy Tooth and Nail foil. That's sweet. I've been proxying Tooth and Nail in a few decks for a while. I have like one set foil. And I don't have any backup copies, so that's awesome. Rejuvenating Springs is the... Okay, it's like the Battle Bond land, I guess. And Etched Foil. That's cool. A Magus of the Wheel full art. Titan of Litjara. I don't know this card. Okay, you choose a creature type, and then he draws you cards as a lord. Sweet. This guy might go in the Upwelling Cube. I like that. Okay, well this was a cool pack. I doubt it paid for itself. Deflecting SWAT's not that much money, but yeah, and the Tooth and Nail is probably like nothing at all. But I bet this Rejuvenating Springs is one of the bigger hits in the pack. Actually, I take that back. Because since they banned Prophet Crucifix, it's like Simic lands are never very much. There's so many of them. God, so much glue in these packs. Wild. Unbounded Potential, Heartless Act, Island. Okay, there's all the junk. Shirei, Shizo's Caretaker. Commander's Sphere. Foily Felwar Stone. I got a full art one that wasn't foily last time. Demon Lord Belzenlock. Liliana Gotcha. Wow, what a bad pull. Okay, so... Yeah, so he goes and gets you cards, and if they're big cards, then you get more of them. Okay, Etched Foil Smothering Tithe? I've not even seen an Etched Foil Smothering Tithe. That's interesting. Not a big fan of Etched Foils, so I'll probably be looking to move that one. Anyone's interested, let me know. Leori Spark Touched Hunter. So Elemental Cat, so is this from Ikoria? When it deals combat damage to a player, choose a Planeswalker type until I determine whenever you activate an ability of a Planeswalker of that type, copy that ability. That's cool. I'm just saying Ikoria because I'm getting Ikoria vibes from this, that's all. Fierce Guardianship and a foil Fierce Guardianship back to back. This is why we open boxes on stream, because who would believe it if you didn't see it? The double Fierce Guardianship pack, the one on the back is shiny, the one on the front is not. You know, this is like the universe heard me. I was talking about these free spells earlier today. I was talking about how, you know, I opened most of the decks from that cycle, but I traded off most of the free spells, and I've ended up I bought more of the ones with the Fierce Guardianship, so I have a few of those, so now I've got even more. But I didn't have a SWAT. I don't have a Deadly Brolic except the one I opened last time. We opened one of these boxes, and so I got getting the free spells in spades today, I guess is what I'm saying. Let's hope for like a foiled Jeweled Lotus. If we're gonna double up on stuff from the last one too, like that Felwar Stone, maybe we can double up on the full art Jeweled Lotus. That'd be freaking sweet. Yeah, that was a pretty dope pack. I liked it. This set it's kind of crazy. I mean, these boxes got shit on and people don't like them, but you know, people are too responsive to what cards are worth right now, not realizing that that's like what cards are worth right now, right after a set comes out, is largely a factor of how many people overcharge their credit cards to buy more than they can afford of that set in the hopes they were going to make money, and then they panic and they dump their cards on the market all at the same time, and everything craters. And if you're not doing that, then like the long-term value of these cards is not what it is the day you open the packs. And these packs are bonkers. Look at this pack. Feed the Swarm, Elvish Mystic, Haunted Cloak, Gemrus Gift. Okay, now Fact or Fiction, Richard Kim Ferguson art. This is going right in to Sharuum tonight. I didn't even know he did Fact or Fiction art, and I'm already running his Mystical Tutor art in there, and one or two other new cards he did from this set. God, I love the RKF art from this set. It's bonkers. Wow, I really love this. Okay, I got a Gemrus Gift. Ugh. Those bastards. They gave me a Myriad Landscape extended art foil. I don't even want to know what could have been in that slot. I'm very angry. A Dracoseth, Maw of Flames. Obscuring Haze. There's the other free spell that I had forgotten about. Nobody cares about Obscuring Haze. Nobody likes you. You're a free fog. But it's only one-sided, so it's kind of cool. It's prevent all damage that would be dealt this turn by creatures your opponents control. Still, it doesn't go in any decks I have, I think. Not excited by it. It's kind of a bummer. Boon of the Spirit Realm is also kind of a bummer. This card is not good. When it or another enchantment ETB is under your control, put a blessing counter on it, and then it's an anthem for each blessing counter on it, and it costs 5 freaking mana. Not good. Azusa, however, I am very happy to see Azusa Lost But Seeking. I need one for my Babala Saga deck. And I also opened an Exploration in the Dominaria Remaster box, which also goes in that deck. Okay. This is definitely not a hit, and I'm not thrilled about it, but I thought this was one of the most interesting of the profile cards. The Kaikar Wind's Fury. So as I thought, so far this box is definitely a bust financially. It's kind of complete crap compared to the last box, but it's at least got like pretty interesting cards in it. Oh, we got an Eldrazi Scion token. Nothing. So that box is like, aside from cool commons and uncommons up here, I guess, this box is like a complete whiff. It's got a Factor Fiction, a freaking Myriad Landscape full art foil. That, oh god, that hurts. And this Obscuring Haze in the Etch slot just adds insult to injury. It's like, is that a $5 pitch spell? It's not even a pitch spell, it's just a free spell. Don't gotta pitch shit. Alright, last pack in the Commander Masters box. Let's hope that it was worth our time. It doesn't even have to be a full art dual bonus. Just, I got a non-foil, so I figure if one's in the foil slot, that doesn't even sound like I'm stretching the bounds of statistical likelihood, right? That sounds very reasonable to me. Alright, let's see what we got here. Whoa, that's a cool Thrall token. Why does this Thrall token remind me of Basket Case? Okay, well, for pretty obvious reasons. I think that's a fine comparison. Okay, that's the Thrall token. Explorer's Scope, there's a fun one. Deadly Recluse, Demon's Disciple, Fall from Favor, haha. Little Commander Legends Pauper Blast from the Past. Loyal Subordinate, Namada, oh no cheating yet, I didn't get to see them. I just saw that I revealed them by mistake. Faithless Looting, oh god, Vandal Blast. Yeah, this is the box with all the uncommons in it. Oh my god, the Generous Gift in the same slot as the Myriad Landscape in the last box. I'm gonna cry. And there's another freaking Kaikar in here? Granted, I didn't own a Kaikar before, but I wasn't missing it. Oh no. Okay, well, the only thing, again, that I'm happy about here is Lorthos is going right into the Upwelling Cube. God, this pack is... Oh, this box really hurt. I think I have heartburn. Extra Planar Lens, Taunting Sliver. Oh, God. These cards are so bad. Okay, Foily Altart Personal Tutor. This is, what, a $10 hit? Something like that? Maybe like $12. Nice Jeff Miracola art on it. Okay, that's definitely the best thing in this pack. That is really not saying much. Okay, well, there must be balance in all things in life, and if you open open a box, like the last one, which was, I gotta say, pretty good, then sometimes you gotta pay the obvious price if you open another box that you were sure came from the same case. Like, 100% chance I should have sold this box on eBay or something to avoid this, but this hurts so much. I'm actually kind of glad I didn't inflict it on another human. Like the pain of the back-to-back full art foil Generous Gift and full art foil Myriad Landscape is really difficult to put into words, but I think, anyone who was holding their breath with me, just maybe thinking they might see a Jeweled Lotus pop out of there, or one of the other Myriad cards that are worth a ton of money from this set that I I don't like looking at it anymore. I might just burn these. No, that's not my style at all, but it would be less painful than looking at them over and over again. So, Azusa, that's going in a deck. Like, yeah, this is a painful stack because I'm not going to play most of these cards. Like, I just put the non-foil of that in a deck, so I'll upgrade it to the foil. Sheree, Shizo's Caretaker. Okay, Fierce Guardianships are cool. So when I said it's a complete width of the box, I guess the Guardianships, yeah, non-foil Personal Tutor like $4. So yeah, so the foil one's probably like maybe $4.50. Wow. Okay. Yeah, nothing good in here. Nadirs, Kadama's Reach, Dread Return. We get the Tooth and Nail and the Deflecting Swat. And the Rejuvenating Springs. It's probably a few bucks, so maybe. Okay. I'm pretty sure that's all that's of any value in this box. So we got Rejuvenating Springs, Tooth and Nail, Deflecting Swat, Fierce Guardianship 1 and 2. This Felwar Stone is not worth money, I just need it for a deck. Smothering Tithe, Zeus is also not worth money. Obscuring Haze, Factor Fiction is not going to be worth money. Lorthos I need for the cube. Personal Tutor. Ugh, this was a bad box. Bad box, but those Fierce Guardianships will make someone happy, I'm sure. Can I get a price check on the full art Fierce Guardianship foil? Was that anything? I guess we can go look at that pretty quick. TCG Player. Okay. Y'all can still see this, right? Oh no, that's right. Put it back up here. Haha. TCG Player, Fierce Guardianship, Borderless. That's that. $36.91, and the foil. $60. Okay, well that's cool. That's way more than I expected. So those two together are basically 100. Am I seeing that right? Yeah, close to 100. Okay, well that's okay. That's a way better box than I thought. Then I thought these might come in at like 20, 40. So if those two are 100, let's see what else is here is actually worth price checking. Let's look at the Smothering Tiles. Should be less than 20. Double Commander Master 16. Okay, so that 116, that's going to be nothing. Let's look at the Personal Tutor. $4 foil. That's great. 120. Factor Fiction is not going to be anything. Let's look at the Haze. Horrors. Obscuring Horrors. Oh, oops. Oh wow, that's a cool one. Wait, hang on. How much is it? That's $2. So this is not going to be good. Okay, that's better than $2. $4. So 124. Azusa, ready to be disappointed. Azusa Lost but Seeking Borderless. $4. Okay. 128 and SWAT. Commander Masters foil. 26. So we were at 128, so we're like 154. Tooth and Nail. Alright, so really the story of this box is I didn't need any more Fierce Guardianship, so I'm pretty biased against the way in which this box was above average. Just not very useful to me in that particular way, but still pretty good, I guess. So this is like 157, and this is the last one I'm going to look up, I think, is the Reflecting... Sorry, Rejuvenate. I literally can't read the etched card at an angle because of the etched. Rejuvenating Springs, okay. It's not just can't read it, like the entire box is like obscured, like it's blanked out by the light. Okay, this is Rejuvenating Springs Etched. $7. So we're 154, 157, 164. I'm sure those are nothing. And then, yeah, I'm pretty sure the rest of this is basically nothing, right? I mean, that Kaikar. Let's look at that borderless foil Kaikar. That's what I thought. Oh, God, look at this. Wow, $12 on day one for the foil, and it's now $1.15. Wow. Okay, missed the boat on that one, but that's okay. It's not like opening at day one was an option. Let's see if that foil Felwar Stone's worth anything. $1 for the non-foil and $4.36 for the foil on market. I wonder what it is on low. $4, cool. That's nice. It's worth more than some of the rares, so in it goes. So what were we at? We said this was 128, 7-ish, right? Or hang on. This was 120 with those two. 124. I'm already forgetting here. This is 158. It's like 160-ish, something like that. 167, 171-ish, something like that. So I'm going to stop counting there. I think you can buy these boxes for 180, and that's pretty darn close to breaking even, which I really didn't expect. So I'll take it. I'll stop bitching about the break-even box. It's a reasonable win. I'm also going to stop working on this game here because the the goldfish where I've not properly laid out my cards is just going to bug me. We'll do one more here because this looks like a pretty decent starting hand. We've got a turn 1 Esper Sentinel and Jeweled Lotus. We'll have a turn 2 Orzhov Signet with a Pact to Negation and Void Rend for some interaction a little bit down the road. Let's hope we get to draw one card this turn and then go to next turn. Didn't get another land, so we have our 2. We'll run out our Signet. Let's go one draw, go to next turn. We got our 3rd land there. So at this point, we're going to hope for blue mana, because that's what we're missing. We have white, black, white, black, white, black. So I can't cast this Intuition. I can cast Savine's Reclamation if I ever get anything in the yard. So, you know, if they kill our Esper Sentinel, we're bringing it right back with the Savine's Reclamation, which is probably a pretty reasonable thing to assume that we had to do this turn. Let's go ahead and mock that up. So bring that back with those taps. So next turn, one draw, we're going to play a Lotus Petal. So we have our 1 blue mana. We can cast Sharuum here to no effect. We need to Intuition, but that's going to cost us our Lotus Petal. That's fine. We have the Jeweled Lotus. So end of turn, we're going to Intuition these two. Library. And we're going to throw Phyrexian Metamorph in the graveyard. We're going to leave Alter the Brood in the deck. We're going to get are we going to leave Alter the Brood in the deck? Let me think about that. I really like Machine God's Effigy. Why am I putting these straight in the graveyard? They don't go there. We're going to put these here and let the opponent choose. So, okay, we're not going to put the Altar of the Brood in the yard here. I think we are going to choose a cheap Aristocrat and see if they put it in our hand. Though I'm not a huge fan of that either. Like, you know, if we didn't have Savine's already, getting Savine's here is reasonable, because it's good in either place. We really don't have anything else that activates out of the yard here, so what is the best thing to get? And also, you know, this stuff tends to depend on board state, so I don't have to go through quite this much hemming and hawing every time I run this Intuition out, though you are doing 3 tutors. Like if there's stuff on board that interacts with certain options I have here, then I'll rule those out or prioritize stuff based on what I think my opponents will give me. Like I can always go 3 clones and just force them to give me a clone, which is really the easiest way to take this and the way that I historically usually do. So this would be the 3 artifact-based clones. They have to give me one of them. The other 2 have to go to the yard. Doesn't really matter which one I get in what spot. I'll be able to go off for sure 2 turns later because I can cast, like, let's say they give me Machine God's Effigy is the most expensive, right? So they put this in my hand, and they put these in the yard, and I close and shuffle. This was end of turn, so we'll go to next turn. So I have 4 mana available, which is kind of a bummer. Go, yeah, like Machine God's Effigy, copying, Jeweled Lotus is going to be pretty good here, but I can't cast the Grim Monolith after that, only before. Yeah, this is lame. So I can run the Monolith out with those 2, and now I have enough to cast Sharuum, but not enough to follow up with the Machine God's Effigy. So I can cast the Machine God's Effigy, copy the Lotus, but then I've lost the benefit of casting this Grim Monolith. So really, there's no reason to run the Monolith out at all. I think I just copied the Jeweled Lotus. Oh no, I'm sorry, it doesn't copy. It copies creatures. That's right. So this is where I look for a creature on board that can sacrifice itself. Like Dauthi Voidwalker is a great example, or I copied a Gitrog monster yesterday because I could sack it on upkeep. But this can act as a mana rock for this turn, let me cast like Swan Song, but then I just want it to sack itself off at the end of turn or at the beginning of my upkeep so it can be in the graveyard to help enable the combo. And in the meantime, I've got Demonic Tutor that I drew, so let's go ahead and resolve. Let's see, do we resolve this or the Tutor? Let's resolve the Demonic Tutor first. Let's go like this. Go Demonic Tutor, and then get some more mana, because I really kind of need it. So we'll get the Mana Crypt, play that, and then we're going to tap these and play this guy, and copy some sort of creature, close and shuffle that. Go to next turn. I had the Swan Song up because of this. Let's say I saved the table that turn and drew 1 extra card off Esper. It's an Enlightened Tutor. Great. So I've got an Arid Mesa. I'm going to tap the Mana Crypt for a Grim Monolith. Oh, that was silly. I probably needed the Demonic Tutor to go get the other half of my win condition, but this is why it's going to be important for me to go to bed and get some sleep before the tournament tomorrow, I think. And you know, with that, I'm going to actually just call it quits on this list. I need to go ahead and submit that deck list before the midnight deadline, so I'm going to go ahead and wrap the stream up. Yeah, machine can't copy artifact, thank you. Alright, well yeah, thanks a bunch for sticking around for the stream tonight. I think we had some fun, got to do a deck tech, see the deck list go up on Moxfield, crack some sealed product, have some emotional ups and downs on pricing, and even play out some pretty bad practice games that show exactly why I need to get some sleep before the tournament tomorrow. So thanks a bunch. Appreciate your time, and hope you can join us next time, and hope to see you at the Showdown tomorrow. Take care, everyone.